located of Riverside Drive and Long Hill Road. More particularly, the improvements include the pickleball courts, gazebo, two playscapes, various associated site improvements. The proposed use specifically requires a special permit in accordance with section 10 of the Andover zoning regulations. And so that is that. At this point, I'll ask Christine to, if you could just go through any of the changes that we've received since the last time we got together.
Sure. So, our final punch list that we were working on was to revise the date on the regulations to the latest, revision, which was February 7th, 2023. Add the wetlands approval letter to the plan. Put approval boxes for PZC on every sheet. We wanted to add 2 signs at the entrance, one at the entrance to the pickleball courts and one to the playground. We also needed the latest revision date on the plans of the actual plan. And the last thing we had was including a statement on the plans stating the methods used to retain stormwater runoff so as to produce no increase in peak runoff, meet the requirements prescribed by the commission's engineering consultant. And all these updates were made by Joe Dillon, who is the acting town engineer and engineer for the project. There was also a communication with regards to the lighting plan. And I think, yeah, those are all the revisions that were made.
Okay, so the other thing that we were waiting on for tonight was the approval of the variance by the zoning board. And Jim, where we stand on that?
Zoning Board of Appeals met last Tuesday evening and approved the application, the relief from section 11.2 so as to allow for reduction in the front yard setback.
Okay,
To return off for the construction of the pavilion.
so Christine, do you have any other comments you want to provide on the project here tonight?
I don't think so. I think we tried to be as sensitive as we could, just being residents in town and wanting to make sure everything conforms to the highest safety and regulations that are required in the town. And we are just happy to see this come to fruition, hopefully, something that the residents will benefit from.
Okay, Jim, any other comments on the application?
No,
Any other commission members have questions that we need to have information included in the public record here? Leanne, anything from you?
No. No.
Okay. Very good. So my sense is then that all the commission members here tonight are ready to close the public hearing. We've got all the information that we want for deliberating on the application. Given that, I think the clock says 7:05, we will close the public hearing. And at this point, we will open the regular planning and zoning meeting. And first up is roll call and seating of alternates. We're a little short on folks here tonight. You've got Ann Cremay, Scott Brisson, Leanne Hutchinson, and myself. We've got no alternates to seat for in Patrick's place, so there's just the 4 of us. Any addition or changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on. I don't see anybody from the public here, so I think we are gonna move past public speak and on to the old business. The application of the town of Andover acting through the Andover Field Committee Applicant seeking special permit to undertake various improvements at the Veterans Field, 30 Riverside Drive. Any, anything that any of the commission members would like to discuss on that application at this point? Okay, very good. I would just point out that, and I don't know if everybody read through the, the lighting narrative that was posted online that Christine was talking about. But we did go through and redo the math to get the right numbers to calculate an average with. And then one of the issues that I struggled with over the last month was most of the lighting levels in our regulations are a maximum level. When we went to the sports guidelines, you can certainly build a good case that those lighting levels that they specify are minimum levels. And so I thought, we were trying to, implement actions to reduce lighting levels when more light is better. And so when I looked up, are these lighting levels for sports fields a maximum or a minimum? Said it's a minimum. So that's one place that the levels are different than what we have for the rest of the place in our lighting levels here. So I was good to go with that. Leanne, any questions or comments on the field improvements?
No, thanks.
Scott?
Oh, heard enough.
Heard enough, huh? Ian?
Sounds good.
Okay,
Jed, does the committee want to discuss hours of operation?
oh, thank you. Yep, we do. So.
I think we're gonna do a draft motion. There is a draft motion.
Yep, so, hold on, I'm trying to find my notes here.
I was thinking if they.
And that was on their
side.
So one of the things that was in the application was that the lights would be off at a time set by the Planning and Zoning Commission, but no later than 11 p.m. There we go.
Talked about that one time.
We did, we come up with it, what we thought was good. What did we say?
I thought we said 10 o'clock.
See, I don't remember talking about it, but that's the time that came to my mind.
That was, yes, I don't remember talking about it either, but 10 o'clock was kind of what I was thinking, so.
I think for being outdoors and possibly affecting neighbors or something technically.
Nope, Christine, that impose any, significant hardship for you there? Yeah,
I don't see any issue with that.
okay,
And then what about starting time? Do we have a starting time or is it just everything's over by 10? Then,
well, so in the draft motion that I will make everybody listen to, it talks about the hours of operation, which shall include the hours lighting for the pickleball court shall be from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week. And that does set a start time, not necessarily need lights out there at that point, but you might depend upon time of year and that sort of thing. Okay, thank you, Wayne. So with all that said,
Jim, you have anything else? No. I know the draft motion, which.
Yep, Wayne, anything else now that you saved us on that one?
No.
I guess we would have got there as I read through the motion.
Right,
It's got that
you
blank.
guys would have got there, but I thought maybe you
Yep.
guys would want to fill in that blank prior to making the motion.
So here's I will make a motion to approve the application of the Town of Andover Planning and Zoning Commission, application 2404, for a special permit for improvements at the property of the Town of Andover, known as Veterans Park, 30 Riverside Drive, as depicted on a plan entitled Town of Andover, Connecticut Recreational Facilities Enhancements, Phase 2, prepared by Nathan Jacobson and Associates from Chester, Connecticut, dated November 2024, revised through 2/25/2025, with the following conditions. Add a letter of approval to the final plans prior to filing. Final plans in their entirety, page 1 through 8, shall be endorsed by the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission and filed in land records of the Town of Andover. The hours of operation, which shall include the hours lighting for the pickleball courts, shall be from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days per week. The applicants shall secure a separate zoning permit for any and all signs, with the exclusion of a sign detailing the rules for the use of the property for parking signs. Prior to the commencement of the work, the general contractor shall provide the zoning agent with contact information, including current mailing address, an email address, phone number, and update information should it change. And Christine, we'll send this out to you by email, so you don't have to
Okay.
write all that down.
Thank you.
All erosion and sediment control measures shall be in place and inspected 48 hours prior to the commencement of work. And the general contractor shall schedule a pre-construction meeting with the zoning agent, the inland wetlands and watercourse agent, Hank Bruner, if available, the public works director, the town administrator, and his or her agent. Such meeting shall take place prior to the commencement of work. In such meeting, the responsibility of all requisite permits shall be established. And that is the end of my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, second Scott, thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Jim,
Yes, Jim.
Jim Thompson, can I just confirm that the date, the revision date is accurate, 2/25?
2/29.
The,
Correct. The revision date in the motion is consistent with the most recent
Yeah.
revision.
Revised 2/25/25.
Okay, thank you.
that's, yeah, okay, very good. Anything else, Jim? Wayne?
No,
Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Ann, Scott,
Aye.
Leanne,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. The motion passes 4-0-0. Good job, Christine.
Thank you.
That doesn't mean you're all done. There are some steps. I don't know exactly what they all are, but Jim and Wayne will help you through those so that, we do all those things. We have a tendency to breathe that sigh of relief when it passes and then don't get all the last little bits done, which
Gotta close it up.
include me signing all those, Mylars so that we can get a file.
Okay.
But, nicely done on that. Sounds like a great plan. Look forward to having that, in the town.
Great,
Thank you for
thanks.
joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Too.
Hey, Jed,
Preparations for the project.
Yes, John.
um, I just got an email from Kevin Arneson,
Yeah,
who was trying to get in, and said that the Zoom link did not appear on the agenda, and the town website access was blocked. So I just copied him. I emailed him, copied everyone else, with the link. Obviously, Leanne got in, and there are several people there in person, but Kevin was apparently having difficulty getting in. Maybe he'll join us in a second.
okay, very good. You're good to go, Christine. Yep, thank you. Yeah, no, I tested the link on the calendar this afternoon.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe he was clicking around the wrong place.
That's how it's being displayed up there. I just use the link.
Yep,
Anyway.
It's just not on,
not on the agenda, yep.
yeah, it was on.
Okay, well, I see Kevin's with us now.
Sorry about that.
Seated as Kevin, we will seat you in place of Patrick Dougherty. But I'm a little surprised Patrick's not here tonight. He might be,
Well, he might be in the same situation I was in.
Yeah. You can need to contact him.
Started to be.
There was still things. And there's
Um,
the spot.
Oh, that's right. You got the file.
do either of you guys have Patrick's phone number?
Oh, no.
I've got his.
I believe I check my phone.
Just see if he had some problem joining us here.
Maybe, yeah. You want- Look on calendar, calendar, that's the right one. Yeah, version. Good. Right.
All right, I spoke to Roberta.
Oh, I think he's got Patrick on the phone there.
Well, there he is. Patrick's the one. That thing is creepy.
All right, well, thank you, Ben.
See, that thing is creepy.
All right, thank you, yeah, bye-bye.
Okay, well, that's good news and bad news. Good news is it'll be a short meeting. Bad news is it sounds like Patrick's not feeling well.
Right.
Now he's here.
Patrick's just joined,
Yeah,
if he's
She's
there.
not feeling great, but we're gonna bring.
Are you there, Patrick?
You're muted, Patrick.
Yep.
I think he said he's just gonna listen.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
Well-
here.
so,
My computer's
next-
having technical difficulties.
yep, next item on the agenda was to discuss the Economic Development Commission topic for the Plan of Conservation Development. Based on the email I got from you a couple of days ago, I thought that was gonna be the highlight of our meeting tonight. If you're not up to that,
Yeah, I'm not up to it tonight. Sorry, Jed.
okay, understand. And we've got Kevin's, seated for you, so at
Oh,
that
very
point,
good.
I recommend that you click off and rest up.
Okay. Thank you, Jed.
Yep, talk to you later, Patrick.
Okay, bye.
Okay. So moving on to the next thing, discussion of status of proposed changes to zoning, map and zone changes. And I don't have the map here tonight, but Jim, Wayne, I, Eric, John have been working on our zoning map and we have shifted from just a plain old map to, I think, John, is it correct to say that this is all GIS based now that we're moving to?
Yes, yeah, it was sort of an odd combination of assessors based parcels and also, you know, there was some mapping that sort of crossed parcel lines. So you had zone lines that would bisect parcel lines. And what we've been trying to do and migrating from one GIS system to another left some mapping lag and some what we would call phase shift in mapping. And so the parcel lines and the zone lines didn't sort of add up properly. And so even in parcels where we didn't intend to split the parcel with a zone line, there was some bleed over. And so we have a new upgraded parcel layer. So we're trying to make sure that the assessor and the zoning map and the GIS map are all, sort of speaking the same language. So there's some technical corrections to be made.
So anyhow, so the map we've been working on didn't have street names on it. It was missing some cul-de-sacs here and there that have been put in. It had, just several inaccuracies that we found between the map and the zoning cards in the assessor's office and that sort of thing. And I was going to try to make one big jump all the way to the finish line where we would get together with the Conservation Commission and see where they thought we needed, the conservation zones were, and then have a discussion at the same time with the Economic Development Commission so that we're not trying to make a new store in the middle of the land that we wanted to conserve. And get through that. And so that's a big outcome of the plan of conservation and development is finalizing that. But I was gonna take an interim step where we got the map looking as good as we could as a map that would not require us going to a public hearing like it will at the end when we change some of the names on the different properties. But if we tried to do it all in one big step, I think that would be too difficult. So we're gonna break it into two. And it's gonna be a while before we get to that map. We'll bring it to the commission to take a look at it. And then follow that up with the public hearing where we get input from the public on it. But I just wanted to let everybody know where it was that we stood at this point. So that's old business C. And we've been putting a lot of time and energy in on that, so I hope that it comes out very nice for everybody.
So what's gonna be incorporated in that?
In the map, so we've got on our zoning map right now, we've got some properties that are multi-zoned. You got a piece of property and a line going through the center. One's business and one's residential or something like that. And we're trying to get, for the most part, each property should have a single zoning associated with it. There will be a few that are different, that big pieces of property that run back from, Route 6, where along Route 6 might be business, back along there might be something else, I don't know. But we're trying to get it accurate. There's a bunch of places out there now that we know have been changed from what our current zoning map shows. Like the Burnett property's got, there's some discussion about at least some of its business. I think our map shows it ARD. Mike Dion's got a property that's listed as residential, but I think needs to be business. So there's a bunch of those that we.
Jed, would it be helpful if I just showed an example of the map?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, underestimated your capability there, John, sorry, when we didn't have the paper
Well,
copy, but here to
I
put
didn't,
out.
I didn't think of it until just now. So, so this is the CROG GIS map. That is a regional parcel layer, and I turned on zoning. And so the colors, the zoning map, is approximate, and it's sort of, you know, it's a sort of an image that's laid on top of the parcel layer. And so if you look over here, this is just west of this is on Route 6, just west of Long Hill Road, so near the park and ride, near the post office. And you'll see, if you know, where you've got a parcel line here, the post office parcels where the 140s are, and the parcel to the left of it is, you know, weirdly in sort of 3 zones according to this map. And the zone itself, the color, really has no value associated with it. And the zone designation is actually found in the assessor's record if you click on the parcel. So there's, you know, things are off. It's, you know, you can sort of see visually things are off. So that we wanted the, you know, the parcel lines to be fixed relative to zones, and you know, make sure that parcels are in the proper designation.
The goal was to, at the end of the day, you know, we should be able to go to our zoning map, and somebody says, what is my property zoned? And we should be able to go to that map and get the right answer. And it ought to match up with what's on the property card in the assessor's office. And we're not there yet, but we're working towards that with the goal, and that'd be that. So
The first step is to get a map that is accurate of current conditions.
accurate or what?
The first step is to get a map that is accurate of current conditions.
Yep,
That reflects the current zoning
and then,
that's
you know,
been in place like since 1961.
and then with planning and zoning commission, economic development, conservation commission, we're gonna sit down, look at the map and say, what's the best use of this land for the town? And change it to reflect that. I think there's some properties that are zoned industrial because I've told that we've, you know, excavated a lot of gravel out of them way back when. Well, that might not be the right for it now. Maybe it's business, maybe it's not, I don't know, but with the 3 different groups sitting down together and going through the different parcels, you know, it's all right around Route 6, because everything else is all residential anyhow. But gives us a chance to get that right, and I think that that would be a good step for the town. So I was hoping to have had the map all done before Jim retired. Jim's still here hanging on, but he said, no, that map's not gonna be done before I can. So, there we go. He didn't really say that, I'm kind of making a little joke. Jim would never say anything like that. But yeah, that's that. Under new business, review the bylaws, so Jim, Wayne, and I have been working on the bylaws a little bit. I didn't send those out to everybody because I had just other stuff going on. I think we're very close to having that the way we want it, and I'll get that out before the next meeting. I think we have to have 30 days before we vote on it, that you have to have it available or something, and I just gotta check on that. We're getting close on that. Update the bylaws, and that's something that I wanted Jim and Wayne to go through before Jim retired. Moving on down, correspondence. Jim, anything there?
No,
None.
no.
Wow. We got time tonight. Wayne, you got any correspondence?
None.
No, okay, very good. Administrative report, zoning agent.
Trying to wrap up a few loose ends, being in particular the Dollar Tree and the Benjamin Franklin enforcement actions. Hopefully, I haven't gotten them out as far as the zoning violation that carries with it the fine. I hope to get that done this week. Shouldn't be a problem. Other than that, I am holding a bond on work done work, incomplete work at the end of Pine Ridge Drive, property of George Carrera. The two-lot subdivision that was done over the course of the last few years, to ensure that the adjacent property is restored, as requested. I did send out a fairly recent notice to the property on Aspinall Drive. It got apparently the owner passed away, so I'm dealing with the when somebody gets appointed by probate, when somebody's able to, I'm told that they will pull a permit and take care of the matter. Dealing with what are the attorneys involved? It's a little unusual, something I haven't dealt with ever. It seems to be pretty clean. It appears it will be taken care of. That's all I have.
Okay? You got anything for us tonight, Wayne?
No,
Okay,
Jim's still here.
and I don't have anything for the Inland Wetlands Watercourse agent report either. We had a couple of items that the wetlands agent took care of on his own in the upland review area. And I think we're starting to work on one driveway over on Woodland, where the guy's trying to expand his house, make it so that he can age in place there, and part of that's moving his garage from one end of the house to the other, and he's gonna have to run a driveway across the wetlands there up in that area, but nothing significant there. John, anything for us?
Yeah, a couple of things. So I just reached out to Patrick by email, and I know you're not feeling well and you guys want to like push this off, but if I'd be happy to get together again with the Economic Development Commission to sort of help bring the EDC chapter along a little bit, whatever the status is. You don't have to respond, we can deal with that online. I wanted to just follow up. We forwarded to, I believe, everybody last week, the draft conservation chapter of the Plan of Conservation and Development, and would be happy to have any comments on that. We can, if you've got comments, feel free to email them to me. And so we can, sort of come up with a more finalized draft version for the next couple of meetings. And then the last bit is been emailing back and forth. Jed and I spoke about the potential agritourism regulations, or the sort of farm tourism, farm activity regulations. I made a couple of changes based on our conversation, forwarded back to Jed for comment, and I also forwarded it to Ryan Fitch, who had been checking in for the tree farms to see if he has any interest in sort of carrying it forward. And he said he's still very interested in the topic and would like to pursue the idea of using their tree farms as special event facilities and things like that. But if the commission was still interested in kind of taking the lead in shaping the regulations themselves, he was happy to take a back seat. But I wanted to put that to the commission again, if this is something that you want to continue to sort of tailor in-house, or would you prefer to have someone, basically a private applicant, meaning Ryan, submit this as an application?
So I was hoping to have discussed a little bit as we had the Economic Development Commission ideas, and I recall when Patrick first spoke to us, that the EDC was pretty favorable and enthusiastic about giving as much latitude to the farmers as we could. The issue that I'm wrestling with myself anyhow, is so if you look in our regulations, whether it's business, industrial, or what have you, and you were to say we're gonna build a wedding venue in Andover. That's not one of the options that we would allow to have. So does it make sense that we would allow a farmer to have a wedding venue when we wouldn't allow somebody to build a wedding venue because it's not consistent with the regulations? Or a concert venue, that sort of thing. You know, Andover's kind of a quiet little town. So that's, and that doesn't mean that we can't change any of those things either. The other aspect, you know, and I take grandkids to a bunch of little farm events, so I'm kind of familiar with the farms put on for stuff that it's normally not weddings and concerts and that sort of thing. But would we, as I drive around Andover, there are a lot of trees that have tree farm signs on it. And does that mean that everybody that has a tree farm should be able to do businesses there? And they probably wouldn't. I think that you've got tree farms because it's a tax abatement kind of break for them. But there's a bunch of stuff that I don't know, and I was looking forward to that EDC discussion to help me get a better feel for that. So I'll look forward to that for next month. And but those are the things that I'm wrestling with when I try to figure that out. I think I made the comment before, we didn't want Woodstock 2025 taking place in Andover, and I think that's probably a good plan. So that's, but I do think that we need to make some. So I guess the question comes down to my mind is, do we want to regulate these activities or let Mr. Fitch go on his merry way as long as he doesn't annoy his neighbors? Then that's, you know, when we did the lighting breaks, we put those in so that the zoning enforcement officer, and that was John Valente at the time, had something to go back to when the neighbors complained about the light shining in their house. And sure enough, we've had to, we took advantage of that a couple of times. So anyhow, John did a great job of updating the agribusiness reg. I just not sure where I go on that, and I'm only one vote out of 5. Need some other people to be thinking about that too.
I can see a lot of opportunities to maybe do some sort of agritourism. I think about my high school reunion was at an herb farm years ago. There's a lot of the big up and coming wedding venues are farms and barns and things like that. And
Yep.
I can't really see that would be bad to have in town. It just seems like it'd be something that would give some positive growth. And it wouldn't be like having a store that's open every day of the week. It would just be an occasional thing.
Yep.
So that's my thought about it.
And you know, when you had a wedding venue, maybe you're required to be all inside a tent or something. I know the Columbia, they have a soundproof tent requirement that they put in when they're gonna have a rowdy thing going on.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that that Mr. Fitch could probably do. Might be some things that we don't want him to do, and we need to figure out what those bounds are. How do we bound that?
And farms are not just tree farms.
No, like the Hearst farm out there, not a tree farm, and, you know, I was out at Hearst farm over the weekend, getting the maple syrup and, that sort of area.
Dairy farms, and that is,
Yep,
they have to meet a certain tax criteria, right? And
Yeah, at
2,500 or something like that, sales and products,
I'm not familiar with the actual number.
something like that, to
yeah,
meet the farm.
so this
Right,
has,
to have sort of a formal farm designation, that's, yeah, in terms of state of Connecticut and tax status.
Right. So.
But not all
Maybe,
farms.
5-acre farm, wedding venue. I'm all for it.
I'm all for it as well, as long as it's not impacting the neighbors. Yeah. So, anyhow,
Just as a point of interest, a number of people have stopped by the office, contacted me, that have actually setting up farms, new farms, small, I say small, one was 30 acres, one was 10 acres. Another one was sort of conversion of the hayfields on Bunker Hill over to, proposed conversion over to some sort of more high intensity use of property. People there is some interest in doing something on a smaller scale, but not tiny, for this area.
so we'll get through that, and, working on trying to get through the P O C D too. That's not going quite as fast as I was hoping. I did talk to, Hank, and, he asked me if he should come tonight to go through the chapter that John did. I said, well, if you and the, Conservation Commission had a chance to review it and, think about, your comments on that yet. And he said, they were hoping to do that. I think their meeting is next week. And so he asked, if they could come and, address that at the April meeting as well. So what I thought was gonna be a busy meeting tonight is gonna turn into a busy meeting in April. Anything else, John?
That's it for me.
Okay? No public there, so we're not gonna do public speak. Next regularly scheduled meeting, April 15th, to be held as a hybrid meeting, just like this one. I would hope that we get more people there. I'm kind of disappointed that we got no interest tonight in what's going on, but that's okay. But that's gonna be April 15th. I guess so this weekend is the big land use training weekend by the Connecticut Bar Association. I sent out to everybody this afternoon what the schedule for that day should be. In my notes, that I can't find, I included the training requirements. And what surprised me when I was reading through the schedule, it says this program fulfills the general training requirements and half of the required 1 hour of training concerning affordable housing and fair housing policies. And that surprised me, because you would have thought with a full day of training, they would have met the requirements for what the training. I remember Mark Grant's talking about how they goofed that up the first year, but we're gonna make sure that never happens again. And
So they didn't fix it.
well, maybe not. So there's a panel discussion from 2:40 to 3:40 on affordable housing, the municipal perspective, and options for expanding housing opportunities. That sounds like an hour to me. So I'll see what kind of information it is, but since they go on to say that, this training is, the Office of Policy and Management does not certify individual programs. And I do, we'll see, what we can do, but I would ask everybody to attend that part in particular. Get another 3 hours of stuff to meet our 4-hour requirement, and, hopefully that will be that. I'm hoping they talk about that a little bit in the introduction on Saturday morning.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that I do have books for folks. I believe Leanne would be the only one. No, Patrick already has a book. Pick it up, great. If not, I'll drop it off. And also that there is the community center being set aside to hold that meeting on the screen.
Yep.
That will be open sometime 8:45 or thereabouts Saturday morning.
Jed,
Yes, Leanne?
did Jim just mention my name? I was gonna ask a question anyway, but did Jim just mention my name? Cause it was a little bit of echoing.
He did mention your name. I think it was in regard to dropping off a book for you.
I have books for the workshop, the CBA, the Connecticut Bar Association workshop, and I believe one of them is for you. You did
Yeah,
sign up.
that's gonna be my question. I see from a month or two ago that we were supposed to get a book, and I was just gonna mention that, one, I don't think I've gotten a book, and two, are we supposed to get some kind of link to sign in, or is that gonna come between now and Saturday?
The link is supposed to come tomorrow.
Yep, I was hoping it was gonna be out today. Thanks, John, and thanks, Leanne. I forgot to mention that, I have not seen the link yet, but they normally put one out a couple of days before the training so you can get there.
Okay, Jim, would you like me to email you about, getting together and so that I can, pick up the book?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on the training? Okay, any other questions or comments on anything? Hearing none? I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay,
Second.
thank you, Ian. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I.
Leanne?
Hi.
Motion passes 5-0-0. Thank you all for attending. See you next month.
Bye.